Hello everyone, Fash here and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be creating another JavaScript project called Guess the Color. Before we get started, let me show you how it works. And that is how we're going to be playing the game. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, the first thing we're going to do is get the files we're going to be needing for this project, this video. So I'm going to go to my repo. I'm going to put the link in the description below. In the repo, we're going to download the zip file because I already added the styles.css. I already added the styling, so we don't have to start over from the scratch. Since this is a JavaScript tutorial, not HTML and CSS, it's going to be faster and give a shorter video. We already added the styling to it, so let's download the file. It took a little longer than I expected, so in the file I'm going to open, let me see, showing folder. Then I'm going to drag and drop it onto desktop so it's easier to access. So now I'm going to extract the file from it. Right click and click on extract here, and then there it is. I have the folder. That is the folder. So I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code. Open, then drag and drop it. Drag and drop the file in the Visual Studio Code. So we have everything set up. We have the styling, the fonts, it is responsive, everything we need. All we have to do is follow the class names. But the index.html is still blank. I just added an heading one. The app.js is still blank. So let's get started. I'm going to be using a live server extension. It's built in with Visual Studio Code. The use of this is that anytime I change anything in my folder or anywhere in the file, I don't have to go there. Let me close this. I don't have to, and this as well. I don't have to change it, refresh the server every time. If I change anything, I can just save. Immediately I save, I see the changes here. So let's add the color back and save. Now we have it. So let's start coding, I guess. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is remove the heading one and then add a section with a class name of game section. Don't mind my naming because I'm really bad at naming. I'm really bad at class names and all. If you're planning on changing the names of the class, remember to change it in the style. If you don't, then you'll be able to get the styling you need. So the next thing, we add a div with the class name of game container. And in the container, we add an heading one. Says guess the color question mark. Save. And there it is. And then the next thing, we add the envelope. So to add the envelope, mostly the styling that made the envelope. The only thing needed in the HTML is a div with the class name of envelope and a div, empty div, and a paragraph with the question mark, and save. Then here we have the envelope. So let me show you the styling for the envelope. Let's try to find it. Envelope. Okay, there it is. So we gave it a background color transparent, gave it a width and a height of 150 pixels. Filter a drop shadow of this. This is not really compulsory, just to add a little color there. And then position relative, display flex, align item center, justify content center, to put everything at the center. The question mark, and this is not necessary actually. I just added it while trying to check if it's working or not. Then a margin bottom of 40 pixels, that is to separate itself from the next content that is going to be after it. And then the empty div, we use the content of empty, the position absolute, top 0, left 0, containing the entire width of the envelope class. And then border top 75 pixels solid, this, then border left, this and this. I already added this variable here and gave it a color. I mostly do this because I find it easier to access colors. Now if I just want to change this, I can just change it here and it's going to change everywhere I added it. So that's why I find it, I like it better. And then the paragraph, just made it big, added no margin because paragraph has default margins, so I removed the margin. And then it's the index of 1, so it can always be on top, and the font weight of 800, and also the color. So that's all for the styling of the envelope. Let's go back to the index.html and add the remaining things needed. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be adding is an unordered list of the colors, the options, the 3 options we're going to be adding. So it's going to be an unordered list with the class name of options and a list of class name of option, and then a div, the class name of option color. This is where the color of the particular option is going to show. And then an heading 5 that says whatever color it is. I'm just going to use 000. We're going to change it later in the JavaScript. So let me copy and paste this 2 times. And there it is. I already added a default color to it so you can see it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be adding is the button with the class name of btn and quit btn, and it's going to say quit. If you like to stop the game, save, and we have it. There it is. Now the last thing I want to add on this main page is the score, where it's going to display the score. So let's add it. Let me see, where should I add it? Alright, let's add it here. So it's going to be a paragraph, the class name of score, and then we're going to use the strong, and let's call it score, just to make it thicker than the other text, and just 0/5, and there it is. I'm using position absolute for this to make it stay here. The last thing I want us to add, I initially wanted to add it later, but let's just add it now. So I'm going to add a div with the class name of alert and the paragraph that says nicely done. This is also going to change depending on whether you get it right or get it wrong. So let's just see that. It's not going to show now because of the styling. So let me show you. Control find, what's the name? Alert. And there it is. It's not even far. So it has a background color of the light color, the main color, the text color, the main color, and then height of this, width of that, border radius, so it's not too sharp at the edges. Display flex, center to center the text, the paragraph, then transition, and let's add the JavaScript. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing let me close this first. The first thing we're going to be doing in the JavaScript is accessing everything we'll be needing. We're going to be needing the score, these options, the envelope, and the button. So let's import the ones we need. let's close this and go to JavaScript app.js. Okay, so to get access to them, I'm going to access the documents to get them by their class name. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let me get the score first. Score, let's go into name it score, document.query selector. I like using query selector because I find it easier to use, all I have to do is just change it to the class name, use a dot for a class, an hashtag for ID. You can even use selectors, it's easier, but you can also use the get element by class name, get element by ID, but personally I prefer using query selector. So we're going to give it a dot, depending if it's an ID we use an hashtag. So we're able to use a dot. The class name is score. Make sure the class name is the same, or else you won't be able to have access to it. And the next thing we're going to need is the options, the container containing these options, these three. We're going to need that as well. So I'm just going to name it options. I'm really lazy. When coming up with this name was hard enough, then come up with another name. I don't think I can do that. So query selector dot options, and then the quiz button with btn document dot query selector, and then quit btn. I think that was what I named it. I think there's always need the envelope as well. Const envelope equals document dot query selector and envelope. Just note, you can actually name all this. You can name it anything you want, whatever, as long as you can remember the name. Because I'm really lazy, that's why I'm naming it the same. You can name it differently, but make sure the class names don't change. And the last thing we're going to be needing for now, we're still going to need a lot of other things, but for now the alert is going to show whether you got it right or wrong. So query selector and alert, and I think that is all for now. So the next thing we're going to do after getting everything we need is generate the colors. And to generate the colors, we're going to be using the hexadecimal color, and to get that, the hexadecimal value, color value, is always ranging between 0 to 9, and from A to F is a mixture of that to get the color. We're going to first have an array of everything from 0 to 9 and A to F. We're going to add it in an array so we can like shuffle it up and get the colors we need. So const, I'm going to call this X because like I said, I'm very lazy. An array 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow, this is so much work. This is a string A, string B. I really feel like copy and pasting this, then it's better to type it out. So long, so stressful. So after having everything 0 to 9 and A to F, everything listed, the next thing, I'm going to create a function to like shuffle this up and get the needed color. So const, let's see, a name, random color generator, because I'm using an arrow function because I just like it. Just preference. You can use the normal function. I just prefer this. I just like it. Just really comfortable with this. So then let's go, let X color, another name, just another variable. You can name it anything, whatever your choice, up to you, is equals to the hashtag. So the use of this variable is where we're going to add our colors, or the colors we generate. We're going to put this there. We're starting with an hashtag because all hexadecimal colors have an hashtag at the start, then their colors, so you can like get access to the color. So that's why I'm adding this as like the default value of the X color. The next thing we're going to do is have a loop, a for loop, which is going to iterate over this x color, this array, and pick a random value out of it and just add it to this x color. So we're going to do a for let high, as always, high. And look, I don't think I ever use any other value for this. Or do you guys use any other value? Because I always use I. Is less than 6. Okay, so what this is saying is that as long as I is not greater than 6 and I is not 6, it's going to continue iterating over this array and picking a random value on it. But if I should change this from 6 to 9, it's going to continue iterating. As long as I is less than 9, this is going to continue, the loop is going to continue running. So to complete this, we add another semicolon and then I plus plus, which means every time this loop runs, I is going to, anytime this loop runs, it's going to check if I is less than 9. If that is true, it's going to add 1 to I. This means that's what I plus plus means. It also means I equals I plus 1. It's the same thing. So this is a shorter way of doing it. Let's complete it. You can just, so you can see it. I'm going to add, let's just say x color plus equals 1, and then console log the x color, and then random color generator, invoke the function, then save this, and you go to your browser and open your DevTools. To open it, you just click Ctrl Shift I, Ctrl Shift and I have it here. And can you see? So every time I is less than, at this point I is less than 9, so the moment I is not less than 9 anymore, it's going to stop adding the 1. So as you can see, I is initially 0. It adds 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when it's at 8 and it adds 1 to it, I becomes 9. So the loop stops running, the iteration stops. So now let's change this back to 6. And this x color plus equals 1 makes x color, it's also the same thing as x color equals x color plus 1. To avoid repetition is why we use the plus equals 1. So it adds whatever is here to it. So the next thing we are going to do now is generate the color. The next thing we are going to do is generate a random index. So you get a random index every time I increases by 1. You get a random index for the x. So x, if I say x at index 0, it's only going to continue picking x at index 0, which is 0 every time. But to generate a random index, this 0, to generate a random 1, we have to use a little bit more functionality. So what we're going to do is use the math.floor. Math.floor is a JavaScript method that takes in a value and rounds it down. So the number we're going to add, we're going to go again and put math.random. This is also a JavaScript method that returns a random number between 0 and 1. And we know that an index has to be an whole number, so we multiply it to get a random number that is not more than the length of our array. We're going to multiply this random number by the x array, the length of the x array. So whatever length this is, you're going to multiply by whatever random number you get, which is going to give you something between the length of the array. Let's save that and let's console log the x color. And there it is. This is the final color. So it adds a random, generates a random value over and over again. If I should save it again, so it's a different value. I hope you understand how this worked. And then the next thing is just return the x color. Anytime I call it, I get a color. And the next thing we're going to work on is the game. We're going to create a function to start the game. So we're going to name it const start game. Start game is equals to, as usual, like I said before, you can always use the normal function, but I just prefer this. Okay, so now we get the colors that are going to be here. Let me close this. The color 1, color 2, and color 3. The 3 colors, we generate the 3 colors. So let's color 1. You can also use const because I don't feel like anything is changing. Random color. We generate the random color. Color 2. I feel like there's a better way to do this, maybe lesser code or something, but this is how I want to do it. If you feel like there's a better way to do it, you have a cooler way to do it or anything that's going to be easier, you can always implement it. There's no harm in trying, but I'm just going to do it like this. We're going to generate the main color, like the color that is going to be determine whether it's wrong or right. And to get this, you have to get a color between these 3. Try to get a random color between the 3 so it changes everything. To make that easier, I'm going to put these 3 colors in an array. So colors array, and that's going to be equals to color 1, color 2, and color 3. We're going to do almost the same thing we did in this particular place. So I'm just going to get the color array, open the index, since we're going to be checking maybe index 0, 1, or 2. I'm supposed to copy and paste, but I'm just going to type it again. So math.floor, open bracket, math.random. Then this time we're not multiplying it by the x color. We're going to multiply it by the color array dot length, which is just 3. We could have just put 3, but just in case you decide maybe you want 4 colors or 5 colors, so you can always get the length. You don't have to change it to 3, 4, 5 every time. So then we have the main color. Now that we have the main color, we should change the text. Try to input the color on everything. Change this, instead of having a static color 00, we can just change it. And to change that, we're going to select option. So color array, the array, we map to it. We pass in a function, and we pass in an arrow function. So we pass in an arrow function and call it, then put a value here. This value is going to be indicating each item in the array. So you can name it anything. You can name it apple, whatever, anything you want. So I'm just going to name it color. So for every color in this array, we are going to return a list, and the list, this particular list, item, option, the div, this. So we're going to copy this. So it's going to return, we're going to use a template string and then paste it. The reason we are using a template string is so that we can be able to input a value in it. So that we can be able to input a value here. After saving this, the next thing we're going to do, so that we can be able to see it here, we're going to get the container, this particular container here that we called options. So options dot inner HTML. We're using inner HTML because we are adding an HTML file, is equal to this option, and save. You could do it directly though. You could put options.innerHTML equals to this color array and all. To see the changes, let's invoke the start game function and see. Now this is where the issue is. You see the spacing. To fix that, we're going to put, after this return, the brackets, the open and close brackets, we put the dot and join an empty string, and that removes the spacing. And now we have the colors. The only issue left is this. We still have the red. Now we have to add that. So to work on the color, what we are going to do now is get the colors. To get this particular div options color. Okay, since this is where we have only in this function is where we have access to each option, we don't have the access to it here anymore. It's now blank. We cannot call it here because we don't have access to it anymore in the index.html file. The only place we have access to it now is this function, is in the start game function. That's the only place we have access to it. So that is where we'll get the options and add the background color to this div here. So I'm going to name it const single color. You can name it better, but this is what I'm going to name it. Document.query selector all. The reason we're using query selector all here is because we have more than one option. There are 3 options, so we have more than one. That is why we're using query selector all. So it's going to select every item that has the class name option. So dot option, or not caps, option. I can't even type right. Dot option. So now the next thing we're going to do is put the color. Next thing we're going to do is add the background color. So single color at index 0, which is the first. Single color at index 0. I'm using this because this is going to return a node list of all the items that has the class name option. So this is the node list. So now single color at index 0 dot first child element child, which is this. This is the single color at index 0. Then the first element child is this div, which is going to be the one with the color, and then this is the last element child. But what we need is this, the first element child dot style dot background is equals to color 1, the first color, and then I copy and paste this. This is color 2 and color 3. So for the color 2, it is single color at index 1 and single color at index 2. And when I save that, we have that. Okay, so now we have the colors matching the text. Now the next thing we are going to be working on is the click event. Like when you click on the color to show this and increase the score if you get it. To do that, we're going to do single color dot for each. Like I said, the query selector all returns a node list, so we're going to iterate through each item in the list by using the for each function. For each color, I know you're probably tired of seeing color everywhere, but that's what is easier for me to remember and be able to use. So single color dot for each color, we're going to take each color, which means each item in the list, dot add event listener. We're going to add the click event and then pass in a function. You can also use the normal function here. So let's console log to see if it works. Clicked. And that's it. Okay, so now that we have the click events to each color, the first thing we're going to try to check is if whatever the color clicked is the same as the main color, and then review the envelope. So let's do that. Now we're going to try to get the x value of the color we clicked. So const color type is equals to color, this color here, this one, dot last element child dot text content. Now let's console log the color type. The reason I'm saying the last child is because this color is referring to this particular list option, the option here. So the last child is the heading 5 and the text content is the color. So anytime I click on this, I get the color, the value, as you can see. Okay, so now that we have access to each color, the next thing we are going to do is check if that color is the main color, if it is the right color for this. So we're going to do an if statement. If color type is equal to the main color, we already added that here, the main color. If it's equals to the main color, then console log. I really like using console log a lot. Console log win, else copy and paste, log lose, save, and then we have lose win. So that's the correct one. This is the correct color. One more thing I would like to do, rather than just putting a console log, let me remove this. Rather than just putting a console log, I want to show the envelope and also change the color, the background color to the main color. To do this, we're going to add the class name of show envelope. I already added it to the styles.css. Let me show you. It's going to be down here. Yeah, these are the other classes. The show envelope. The show envelope is going to remove the div, this envelope, and the question mark. It's going to remove this envelope and the question mark. So anytime the color type we clicked on is equal to the main color, we're going to take the envelope dot class list and we're going to add the show envelope class. Envelope dot class list dot add the show envelope class. And when I save that, anytime I click on the right one, it's going to remove the envelope. This is why the space is blank because we've not added the color. So now we're going to add the color to it. We are going to do envelope dot style dot background color is equals to the main color and save that. So anytime I click on the right one, it changes. One more thing I would like to add is the alert. So the alert, I also added a style to show the alert, the show alert class. So anytime I click on any of it, whether I get it right or wrong, we're going to do the alert dot class list. Anytime I get it right, the alert dot class list dot add the show alert class. Else you remove the show alert class and save. You won't remove the show alert class, you also add the show alert class. So anytime I click on this, nicely done, it just adds the show alert class. Now to show whether I win or lose, I'm going to add another class list to the alert called the success and the danger class. So we're going to do, when the color is equal to this, we're going to do the alert class list dot add success. Else we add the danger class. So anytime this is correct, we add the success class, a border button. But the issue with this is that when I click on this and I add the danger class, and I click on it and add the success class, we have two classes like that. To avoid that, we'll first remove the danger class before adding the success class. First remove the danger class And this place we're going to remove the success class before adding the danger class. Now save. So we have it working nicely. Now the next thing we're going to do with the alert is change the text. When it's right, it says nicely done, and when it is wrong, it says oops, you missed it, you got it wrong. I think that was what it was. So when it is correct, alert dot inner HTML is equals to this paragraph. Let's copy and paste it. The paragraph here, you can just cut it, so we're not going to be needing it anymore, and paste it here. Nicely done. Then when it is not the same, now oops, you got it wrong, nicely done, oops, you got it wrong. The last thing we're going to be doing concerning the alert is adding a timer, so it doesn't stay here, just stay throughout the entire game. We set a particular time for it to like go back to hide again. So do the set timeout function, passing a function and also a time. The other parameter is the time, how long you want it to stay. I think we should just stay 1000 milliseconds, and that's 1 second. And then the alert dot class list dot remove the show alert. And we're going to do this, and we're going to do the same thing for the else. Save. So I'm going to slide back up, and that is it. The next thing we're going to work on now is going to the, after getting it right, you go to the next question, or getting it wrong or anything, you go to the next question. So to do that, we're going to need two global variables, which is let number of tries, this is equals 0. This is going to be the number of times the person has played the game, the number of rounds. And then let guessing equals true. This is a boolean. It's checking whether the person is still guessing or the person is not guessing anymore. Immediately the person clicks on it, the number of tries will be increased by 1, which is plus plus. And they're also going to check if guessing is true. We're going to check if guessing is true, then allow the other functions to work. But if not guessing, if the person is not guessing anymore, if not guessing, that's the meaning of this exclamation mark guessing, then return, which means do nothing. And then after that we set guessing to false. We're going to do another if statement after this. We're going to check if number of tries is less than 6. If it is less than 6, then we start the game. We run the function over again, which means we start everything over again. So anytime I click, the game is started over again, the function is being called again, so a new color is being generated. And the reason why this is not working anymore is because the moment I click, I set guessing to false, and when guessing is false, nothing happens. So if I didn't have that, then I'll be able to click twice, change my option, everything. So since guessing is back to false, we're going to change guessing to true. We're going to set guessing back to true. So we can click and that changes continuously. And then we're going to do one more thing. We're going to set the envelope dot class list. We're going to remove the show envelope class. So we won't be able to see the color. So we have this. The reason why the envelope is not showing is because the start game is running immediately you click on it, so there's no time to show the envelope. Immediately you click on it, we are removing the class, we are adding and removing it at the same time. So we are going to add a timer as well. So a set time interval, a set timeout function, passing a function, and then the time. So we're going to be using 1 second. That's enough. We're going to pass in everything. After 1 second, that's when you start the game and also remove the envelope. So oops, see, and it goes back to normal. Nicely done. And now we are out of the 5 trials, so nothing is happening again, because now it is equals to 6. It's not less, the number of tries is not less than 6 anymore. Now to work on what happens next, what we are going to do is go back to HTML and create another page, which is the winning page, the winning model, that is going to show after the 5 trials is complete. It's going to show whether you won or lost. So we're going to go back to the HTML and do that. Okay, so now we're going to go and work on the winning page. So after this section, we're going to create another section. So we're going to create another section with a class name of winning page. Winner page. And then a container with winner container. And inside the winner container, we have an heading one that says yay. It's going to yay, you won. And the paragraph that says, would you like to go again? Question mark. And the button with a class name of beating and retry beating, and it says start over. So let's save that. It's currently not showing because I put the display to none in the styling. So now go to the app.js. Okay, so now that we've added the winners page, the HTML, we're going to get the necessary things needed from the document. So the first thing we need is the winner page. So const, I'm going to name it winning model is equals to document dot query selector, and the name is winner page. One thing I also need is the text, this text. So to get that, I'm going to do const, I'm going to call it winning model text is equals to document dot query selector. I'm going to pass in the winner page, and then the winner page, and then the heading one, which means there's only one heading one, so it's going to pick any heading one that is a child of the winner page. So since there's only one heading one, it's going to select that text, and this is one of the reasons I like using query selector. And the last thing is the retry button. Retry btn is equals to document dot query selector retry btn. And I think that's all for now. I'm sorry, this is morning. Okay, so now after this, we're going to use another if statement to check when the number of tries is equals to 5, which means you have completed all the rounds. So that's when the model is going to be shown. So if number of tries is equal to 5, then we'll do the winning model. I already made a class name. This is it, class show model, which is going to put the display back to this. It puts the display back to flex. Normally I put the display in none, so that will show the model. So we'll do winner model the class list dot add the show model class. So when we play the game, it shows the model, but we've not implemented the start over button, and that is what we're going to do next. But before that, let's work on the score. So to do that, we're going to need another global variable called let current score equals 0. At the start, the current score is going to be 0. Let's remove the console. We're going to check where the color is equals to the main color. So we're going to do the current score plus plus, which means adding 1 to the current score. So anytime you get it right, you add 1 to the current score, and then you return. After adding 1 to the current score, then you add the text. After adding 1 to the current score, then we're going to add it to the score. We're going to add it to the score container here. So I think I already got that from the start. This is it, the container score, and here this is it here. So we're going to copy this, what is inside. We're going to copy it and go back to the app.js, and here we're going to do score dot inner html is equals to, we're going to use template string because I find it easier. Then we're going to do the $sign, I think, the curly braces, and pass in the current score. Save that. Oops, you got it wrong. Oops, you got it wrong. Wow, I'm not getting anything right. Nicely done. Can you see? It increases by 1. Nicely done. So that's 2. So the next thing I'm going to work on is this text. I'm going to work on the text so that I can say whether you won or lost. So you're going to do an if statement inside. After I check if the number of tries is equals to 5, we're going to also check if current score is greater than 2, which means it's either 3, 4, 5. So there are only 5 tries. So once it's greater than 2, that means the person won. Then the winning model text content. I'm using text content here because we're not adding any HTML to it. Is equals to yay you1 and then else. We are going to change it to oops you lost. So let's try it out. Nicely done. The score increases. Yay, you won. That's because I won. One last piece of CSS I would like to add is a border here, and that we already added the class here. win and lost. So since this particular CSS is added to the container, this is the winning model that I targeted here. This winning model, this is it, but this is the container, which is the first child. You can remove this now, we don't need it anymore. So this is the winner model, and then this is the first child. So the winner container, that's where the CSS will be added. So I'm going to do right here, winner model dot first element child dot class list dot add the win class. Else we add the lost class. And just like the other one, we have to first remove the lost class from the winner model. We have to first remove the lost class before adding the win class. Same here, we remove the win class before adding the lost class. So we remove the win class before adding the lost class. So that should work now. See, I got greater than 2, so here you want and you have the border. Now let's work on the start over button, the retry button. For the retry button, we're going to be doing this outside the function, outside the start game function. So right here, we're going to take the retry button dot add event list. Now we're adding the click events. So anytime the button is clicked on, we're going to set the score, the current score, back to 0, the number of tries back to 0. We're going to set guessing back to true, and then we're going to remove the winner model dot class list. We're going to remove the show model class. And also the score.inner HTML. We're going to change it back to initial 0 this, so it goes back to normal. I think that's all. Then we start the game again, so that we can generate a new value. So the new value is generated and we can start over, and the score is back to 0 as well. Now the last piece of functionality for this game is the quit button. Since I don't want people making the mistake, or maybe making a mistake to click on this, we're going to add a model. So ask if you are sure you want to quit the game. So we're going to add that in the HTML as well. So right after the winning model, we're going to have another section with the class name of model. I'm really tired of naming, and it could be with the class name of model container. Inside the container, I'm going to have a paragraph that says to give it some spacing, so it's like very long, to make it on a 2 line. We're going to add a break tag here. After the want, we're going to have a break tag there. So I save this, and then we're going to add the last thing we're going to add is the button. We're going to add div so that it can contain the buttons, and then we save that. It's not going to show as well because I already added a display now. So in the app.js, we're going to first get them from the document. So let me just copy and paste this. It's almost the same. Confirm btn and cancel btn. One more thing we're going to need is the model itself. So const model is equals to document dot query selector. Class name is model. So we save that, then we go down here. We can put it before or after this, but I'm going to put it here because it doesn't really make a difference. So we're going to target the quit button dot add event listener. Now adding the click event, and the only thing we're going to be doing in this function is adding the show model class to the model. So model dot class list dot add show model, and that's the only thing this will be doing. Let's work on the cancel btn first because it's like the easiest. Dot add event listener, we're adding the click event, and then in the function the only thing that we're going to be doing there is just removing the show model class. So instead of add, we put remove. So now for the confirm btn dot add event listener, add the click event, what we are going to add here is not that much. We're just going to add the current score. We're going to set the current score back to 0. It's basically the same with what we did here, so let me just copy this and paste it here, and then this as well, copy and paste. The last thing is removing the show model class, so we're going to copy this as well and paste it, and that is all we're going to do for the confirm btn. So okay, so one more thing I noticed is that when the game initially loads, the score does not show. So to fix this, you can either copy this and paste it at the start of the game. So immediately the browser is refreshed and the function is invoked, the score is going to show. This we're going to put score.html and set it back to default, or we copy this and paste it back in the HTML. So anytime you refresh, the score is always there. And that will be the end of the game. Thank you so much for staying with me throughout this video, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more videos like this, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. Thanks so much for staying. Bye.